To many around the world, David Walliams was one of the most beloved figures in Britain's Got Talent. He brought joy and laughter to the show, and his smile could warm even the coldest of hearts. He became the heart and soul of the show, and his contrast with fellow judge Simon Cowell brought him closer to the hearts of the people. However, Walliams' career on the show came to an abrupt end due to a shocking scandal. What did he get himself involved in? And what does it mean for him today? Join us as we explore David Walliams' sentences and say goodbye forever. The big scandal. Britain's Got Talent former judge David Walliams made derogatory and explicit remarks about contestants during the recording of an episode of the ITV show. Walliams, one of the UK's best-known television personalities and children's book authors, was recorded referring to one contestant using the C word and saying of another that she thinks people wanted to lie with her, but they didn't. He made these offensive remarks during a recorded audition show at the London Palladium in January 2020. However, lawyers for Walliams and Thames TV, the production company behind Britain's Got Talent, argued the comments were part of a private conversation never intended for broadcast. One of the other incidents captured in the transcript involved an older performer who engaged in some light-hearted banter with the judges, in which he made a jibe about Walliams. After an unsuccessful audition, the pensioner walked off stage. When he was out of earshot, the transcript suggests, Walliams described him using the C word 3 times. His comments were picked up by microphones used to capture discussions between the judges when they are seated at their desks in the center of the auditorium. The recordings are understood to have been made for potential broadcast in Britain's Got Talent or other spin-off shows. These recordings often feature candid remarks made by the judges between auditions. The other incident, involving Walliams, occurred shortly after a female contestant auditioning on the same show had walked off stage. When her performance was over, Walliams made awful remarks about her, stating that she was like the slightly boring girl one would meet in the pub and would then think that you are interested in them when you're really not. Not stopping there, he then added that he knew people like her, people who think that they are all that, and that everyone just wants a piece of them, not knowing that it's the last thing on your mind. However, the leaked transcripts meant what was said in the privacy of the auditorium was now heard by the entire world, which led to a lot of outrage. Cornered, he had no choice but to tender an apology to the affected individuals and his fans all over the world. In a release statement, Walliams stated that he would like to apologize to the people he made disrespectful comments about during breaks in filming for Britain's Got Talent in 2020. He then reiterated that those were private conversations and, like most conversations with friends, were never intended to be shared. Nevertheless, he concluded that there was no reason for him to go out of line with his words, and he was extremely sorry. Walliams' comments were the only instances of recorded derogatory remarks about contestants in the leaked transcripts. From the leaked transcripts, only Walliams made such remarks. There was no suggestion that Simon Cowell or any other judge made offensive remarks about contestants. A spokesperson for Cowell and Psycho Entertainment, the co-producer of Britain's Got Talent, noted that they were unaware of the alleged conversation until they were contacted by The Guardian. They noted that Britain's Got Talent is a family show and, as such, they do not condone the use of any such language. Walliams' remarks about contestants raised a lot of questions about his conduct on the hit show and contributed immensely to the ongoing debate about the ethics of reality TV and its treatment of members of the public. Everything that David Walliams had built for himself for over a decade was gone almost immediately. His remarks had cost him everything, but Walliams is not one to go down without a fight. How did he decide he was going to fight for himself? A fight for survival. David Walliams filed a high court case against the production company that makes ITV's Britain's Got Talent. The action against Fremantle Media is listed as dealing with data protection. No other details were provided to the public about the case. The actor, comedian, and author was a judge on the show from 2012 to 2022. In January of 2023, Fremantle announced that former Strictly Come Dancing judge Bruno Tonioli would join Britain's Got Talent for its 2023 series, thus replacing Walliams. However, Walliams remains one of the country's most successful entertainment figures. He rose to fame alongside Matt Lucas on BBC comedy Little Britain. During his time on Britain's Got Talent, He won the prize for Best Judge at the National Television Awards in 2015, 2018, 2019, and 2020. He also enjoyed success as a best-selling author with books, including Gangsta Granny and The Boy in the Dress. The legal case was filed under Williams' real name, David Edward Walliams. Through sheer grit and determination, Walliams got the company to issue him an apology. Britain's Got Talent production company Fremantle apologized and settled with David Walliams after comments he made while working on the show were leaked. The comedian and former judge sued producer Fremantle for misuse of private information and for breaching the UK General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the Data Protection Act of 2018. According to High Court documents released, the TV personality accused the company of causing him psychiatric harm and financial loss. The company later apologized and said it had reached an amicable resolution with Walliams. A Fremantle spokesperson said in a statement to the PA news agency that they were pleased to have achieved an amicable resolution of this dispute with Walliams. The spokesperson also noted that they were sincerely sorry that his private conversations, whilst a judge on Britain's Got Talent, were published. The company apologized for the great distress the saga caused him. His lawsuit against them also forced them to review their production practices on the show to ensure they fully respect the expectations of their talent whilst satisfying the requirements of the show. They reiterated that they had enjoyed a great relationship with Walliams over many years. Whilst he was still a judge at Britain's Got Talent, David Walliams laid his hands on other projects, like writing children's books and starring in their adaptations. How well were these projects received by the public? A Boy and a Dream. The very first time that David Walliams would perform an address was at school, and he was just 11 years old. He had gotten the role of a queen in his school play. According to him, stepping off the stage that night, he was 100 times happier than he could ever say. He revealed this in his 2012 autobiography, Camp David. He revealed that he had generated laughter, loud, explosive, wonderful laughter. From then on, he knew what he wanted to do. He would also do quite a bit of it in a dress. In 2015, he took on a role as the rotten dinner lady in Billionaire Boy, the adaptation of his children's book. That was a continuation of a prolific year for him in which he appeared in the Agatha Christie series Partners in Crime, continued his role as a judge on Britain's Got Talent, created a small library of children's books, and saw the opening of a stage version of another book, Gangsta Granny. Whilst talking about his abilities as an actor, a writer, and a comedian, it is also important to make mention of his strong physical side. In 2006, he swam the Channel, and in 2011, he swam the length of the Thames. Walliams credited his parents for providing a strong work ethic. Growing up in suburban Surrey, his father was a transport engineer, and his mother was a lab technician at a school. His parents were not wealthy, but somehow they paid for him to attend the independent Reigate Grammar. As a child, Walliams was a little bit shy, but he also had an exhibitionist streak. At just 13, he had already started writing sketches for school assemblies, and he got his first paying comedy gig, in which he earned £5 telling jokes he had ripped off from Steve Martin at a friend's 18th birthday party. It was at the National Youth Theatre where he met Matt Lucas, who would go on to become his comedy partner. They bonded over a shared love of British comedy, such as Monty Python, Rowan Atkinson, and the Carry On films. Walliams noted that Matt was a better performer than he was a writer, and he was a better writer than he was a performer. To him, that is why they ultimately needed each other to succeed on the scale in which they did. Walliams was lucky to meet Edgar Wright in the mid-1990s backstage after one of Lucas's gigs. It was Wright that directed Matt and Walliams' first television work, Mash and Peas. Wright was full of praise for the duo, noting that they were such natural performers and they weren't writing for anyone but themselves. He also added that they were quite rebellious and mischievous, constantly getting into hot water with the censors, especially Walliams, who in particular had a wicked sense of humor. He also recalled that unlike a lot of comedians, Walliams was just as funny off-screen as on. The director, Matt Lipsey, met Walliams around the same time. He remembered him being so exuberant, bouncing off the walls with energy. They had been working on some material that did not make it to television, but after Mash and Peas, Walliams's career progress was slow. A pilot for Radio 4 wasn't picked up, and shows he was involved in, such as Sir Bernard Stately Holmes, You Are Here, and a spoof boy band documentary, weren't hits. He started popping up in small parts in series, such as The Bill, Casualty, and EastEnders. Walliams has always been open and honest about his mental health struggles. What are some of his darkest struggles with mental health? And how has he managed to pull through despite everything? A strong soldier, the star opened up about his battle with depression on national television back in 2019. During an episode of Bear Grylls' ITV show Bear's Mission. In a completely different environment from what he was used to, Walliams spoke personally about attempting to take his own life, but how becoming a father to his son, Alfred, completely changed his life around for the better. In past interviews, Walliams had reiterated that he always had struggles with depression in the past. There had been periods through his life when he'd been very, very down, and those periods were very long-lasting. Writing his autobiography in 2012, Camp David, the star, addressed his struggle with depression, including the time of day he felt at his lowest. In his writings, he revealed that many people who suffer from depression confirm early morning is the worst time. At 4 in the morning, when they are totally alone, when there is no one to call. Depression to him was not just the terrible elemental sadness he felt, but fear. Fear of passing, fear of life, fear of love, fear of everything. He also revealed that his mother found him lifeless on the bed when he tried to take his own life during his university days. The comedian experienced depression during his youth and made an attempt on his life at Christmas when he returned home from university. Speaking to the Times, Walliams revealed how it was his mother, Kathleen, who found him and credited her with helping him get out of his depression. He said the weight of his depression had become unbearable. He'd always known something was wrong from an early age, a feeling of unbearable loneliness he could never escape. Walliams noted that despair loomed over him that first Christmas back from the university, and he could not live with it anymore. His mom discovered him lying lifeless on his bed, having taken an overdose. Seeing him like that broke her heart. She cried for weeks, and he was ashamed that he was so selfish to have put her through that experience. But a mother's love is eternal, and her boundless love got him through. David has always had a close relationship with his mother, and said he always felt he could be completely myself around her. The former Britain's Got Talent judge said that his mother, Kathleen, encouraged his flamboyant side and hired a wedding dress for him when he was cast as the Queen in All the King's Men while attending an all-boys senior school. He added that his mother was always supportive of his comedy career, while his father, Peter, was more skeptical that he could make a career out of it. Walliams also reportedly suffered suicidal thoughts after he was dropped from Britain's Got Talent, where he claims his microphone was kept on all day during filming, court papers have allegedly revealed. Many fans speculated that his depression stemmed from his struggles with his sexuality. To what extent is the fan speculation true? A Slash of Colors, the actor and writer, revealed how he used to be racked by feelings of self-loathing and despair, and how he constantly fought against the dark thoughts that plagued him since childhood. In a candid interview for Desert Island Discs on BBC Radio 4, the comedian said his hectic workload and high-profile party lifestyle were a way of coping with the moments of melancholy. He also said that he would take a gun as his luxury item onto the fantasy desert island, so he could shoot himself if he got too lonely. He revealed that he could not stand being on his own, and he hated it. Walliams revealed that he had a pathological fear of being on his own, and whenever he was on his own with his thoughts, he would start to unravel himself, and he would start to think really dark, self-destructive thoughts. He added that he was trying to deal with it. He had learned that he had to make plans. He had to see people and do things, because he did not like to get himself in that state. He also realized that he could keep it at bay by being creative. He said his successful swim across the English Channel in 2006, which raised £1 million for the Sport Relief Charity, was an act of redemption. He expressed how he had been looking for some sort of redemption, and he had got to think of himself and how he wasn't a good person. According to the comedian and writer, he did not know why he had that, but he struggled with that, and that he used to do a lot of self-loathing, and this was something that he could be proud about. In 2008, Walliams portrayed Frankie Howard, the late comedian, who also suffered from depression, as part of BBC 4's Curse of Comedy series, as well as Little Britain, and its spin-off Little Britain USA. which he created with Matt Lucas. Walliams has also appeared in other TV projects, including Stephen Poliakoff's Capturing Mary, and films, including The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. He has recently finished a run of No Man's Land by Harold Pinter in London's West End, in which he starred alongside Sir Michael Gambon. In the interview, Walliams described his childhood as normal, but he says he was frequently depressed. He revealed that he was just depressed as a child. Although he was not diagnosed with depression at the time, he was just unhappy a lot of the time. He added, he found it hard to kind of make friends with people and form relationships. He said he found an escape by locking himself in the bathroom, listening to Rowan Atkinson albums, and practicing comedy routines. Walliams also talks revealingly about his first serious relationship with the actress Katie Carmichael, whom he met when they were drama students, and how this saved him. He expressed that they were in love for 4 years. That really brought him out of me. Prior to her, he had never gone out all night. He had never stayed out all night. She brought all of that out of him. That was a great time, and that really gave him confidence. To him, she was still a very special person in his life, but things changed. She saved him from misery. She breathed life into him. He felt very lucky that he went out with her. She was the first woman that he slept with as well. It was a really magical time. He said he had not had such a special relationship for some time. Walliams also refused the suggestion that his effeminate manner means he is gay. He said that he had thought about it because he was effeminate, asking himself over and over again whether he was gay or not. However, he realized that he was so in love with women, and he so loved women's bodies and all that. And he then decided that no, he could not be gay to many around the world. David Walliams was one of the most beloved figures in Britain's Got Talent. He brought joy and laughter to the show, and his smile could warm even the coldest of hearts. He became the heart and soul of the show, and his contrast with fellow judge Simon Cowell brought him closer to the hearts of the people. However, Williams' career on the show came to an abrupt end due to